You'd think the prospect of a Muslim running for governor of a state President Trump won would be the biggest fear for a certain kind of conservative in 2018.
The people of Michigan have voted. The people of Michigan.
But the woman Abdul Al-Sayed campaigned with this weekend is someone people on the right seem to find far more terrifying.
She won with the assistance of the Democratic Socialists.
Medicare for all, free college tuition.
And she's politically naive enough to have told the truth.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez shocked Democrats when she defeated one of their party's leaders in a primary last month. Conservatives in this country just can't stop talking about her. She's the 2018 supervillain. From June 26th, when she won her primary, through Sunday night, Ocasio-Cortez has been mentioned at least 291 times on television. That's according to archive.org. That's more than 7 times as often as New York's celebrity candidate for governor, Cynthia Nixon. And the network where Ocasio-Cortez has come up the most was Fox, with 119 mentions. The Daily Caller has published nearly 20 articles on Ocasio-Cortez in the past 9 days, calling her a socialist darling and using headlines like AOC equates ending slavery to electing Democrats. One of their reporters was almost sucked in by Ocasio-Cortez's hypnotic superpower.
They talk about education for your kids, health care for your kids, the things that you want. And, you know, if you're not really paying attention to how they're going to pay for it or, you know, the rest of that, it's easy to fall into that trap and say, my kids deserve this.
But Ocasio-Cortez is not the first Democratic socialist to run for office recently. In fact, just a couple years ago, one ran for president and did pretty well. Yet almost no one on the right covered Bernie Sanders like he was Dr. Doom. Jeff Weaver was Bernie's campaign manager in 2016. When he's not running campaigns, he runs Victory Comics in Falls Church, Virginia. Like, I'm in your comic book store, and I'm thinking, like, you know, they sort of treat Bernie like Two-Face, but like Ocasio-Cortez is like the Joker, like the super villain.
Bernie is well-defined in people's minds. I mean, if you call somebody in Nebraska or Wyoming or Idaho or California or New York and say, tell me about Bernie Sanders, look, they all know who he is. They all have an impression of him. They all have a sense of what he stands for. She's new and undefined. And so, yes, they're going to try to turn her into a caricature, use a comic book term.
Right. What do you think this means for this rising tide of democratic socialism, to have a person like Ocasio-Cortez vilified to such a degree?
Well, look, I think what it says is that we're winning, right? I mean, when you're not winning, they ignore you. You know, they tried to pigeonhole it as like these young white Bernie bros, right? Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not a young white Bernie bro. So this movement has no boundaries. There are no racial boundaries. There are no gender boundaries. There are no gender orientation boundaries. And there are no geographic boundaries, right? It's winning all over the country. And this to them is terrifying.
They would love to tell voters that what Democrats want is to turn the country into Venezuela.
But that's a fantasy of theirs, right? I mean, but the reality is that this is what we in the progressive movement want to talk about. We want to talk about healthcare. We want to talk about a $15 minimum wage. We want to talk about the fact that you have aging parents and you're trying to figure out how you're going to be able to afford to take care of them, or young kids and how you're going to be able to put them to college. These are the issues we want to talk about. And if Republicans want to talk about those issues, let's have that discussion.
So getting the badge of villainy is sort of like a sign that things are going well.
Oh, it's going great. Yes, exactly. The louder they're screaming, the better it's going.